So today's opener is going to get us ready to start talking about square roots in a little bit more depth. So the first part of our opener says to go ahead and circle the prime numbers in the list. So we have the numbers 12, 7, 4, and so forth. Remember, prime numbers only have two factors, the number 1 and then the actual number itself. Composite numbers have more than two factors. So if going through this list, is the number 12 prime or composite? Composite. Factors of 12 is going to be 1, 12, 2, 6, 3, 4. So right there it has 6 factors. So 12 is going to be composite, so we won't circle it. What about 7? Guess what? It's going to be prime, so we're going to circle it. 4? 13. So what are my other prime numbers here?
It would be 81.
Not 81.
80.
Oh. Let's think of some factors of 81. What times what will get you 81? 9 times 9. So right there, 1, 81, 9, and 9. So it automatically has more than two factors, so it's composite. 80, the factors of 80 are going to be 1 and 80. But what does 80 end in? An even number. Any even number is divided by or divisible by what? 2. So that's going to be composite. So we know 80 is composite. We know 81 is composite. What about 43? 43 is a prime number. Okay, what about 21? Composite. What about 23? Prime, so we're going to circle 23. What about 25? Composite. All right, Ashley, be quiet. What about 27? Well, what are our factors of 27? Hey, guys, I need you to set your heads up for me. Trevon, Drew, head up. What are my factors of 27? What can you multiply together to get 27? 1 and 27, what else? 3 and 9. So, therefore, it's composite. Okay, what about 29? Prime or composite? What can you all multiply together to get 29? Anything? What can you all multiply together to get 29? Okay, well, what are the factors of 29? I know I can take 1 times 29 to get to 29. Can I take 2 times something to get to 29? What? We'll take 29 divided by 2. What do you do? What happens if I take 29 divided by 2? Okay. What about 3? Can I take 3 times something to get to 29? What about 4? What about 5? If you don't know, take 29 divided by 5. What about 6? What about 7? So we can keep going on and on and on, but the end result, 29 is going to be prime. Okay? I'll get you guys a multiplication chart shortly. I'll get you guys a multiplication chart. That'll help this part be a little bit easier. So now we're going to list all the factors of 30. So when we list factors of 30, we want to go in order. So we want to think 1 times what gets me to 30? So 1 times what can I multiply together to get 30? Yeah, so 1 and 30. So then you do your next number. 2. 2 times what gets you to 30?
15.
Then 3. 3 times what will get me to 30? 4. Nothing. What about 5? 5 times 6. So if I keep going up, what's the next number I would say? 6, right? Well, I just start repeating myself. Do you see that there? So after I get to the highest number, I don't need to keep writing. So all my factors of 30 are right here. So how many factors do I have of 30? Well, altogether, how many numbers can I multiply? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You're going to need to know how to find factors. You're going to have to know how to do prime factorization in order to help with your square roots. Hey, Devontae and Drew, can you guys set your head up for me? Thank you. Teron, head up, please. Up, all the way up. All right, so the last part of your opener today, you're going to factor each of the following using a factor tree. So the first one, we have 50. Now, if we notice up above, 30 had several different factors I could use, right? So when I come down to do 50, you can have different factors. So for example, what are some factors of 50 that we could use? What two numbers can we multiply?
10 and 5.
Okay, 5 and 10. Or 10 and 5. I always like to write my smaller number first. What else could you use though? What other numbers could you multiply together to get 50? Yeah, you could also use 2 and 25. You can use those and you're still going to get the same end answer. So for this time, let's just use 5 and 10, and then we'll show it using Drew's way in just a moment. So when you're factoring using a factor tree, once you get to a prime number, you're going to circle that prime number. That's going to be your visual cue that you can't do anything else with that number. So 5 and 10, do I have a prime number there?
No.
Okay, can I factor 5?
No.
So there's my prime number. So I'm going to circle 5. Can I factor 10? Yes. What two numbers can I multiply together to get 10?
5 and 2.
So 5 and 2 is fine to write it that way. I always like to write my smaller number first. So 2 and 5. 2 and 5 are both going to be prime numbers, so I'm going to circle them. So right there, you have your prime factors. So if I would have you guys write this out in standard form, you would basically write your numbers 2 times 5 times 5. That would be standard form. So basically saying, if I would take each of those prime numbers and I multiply them together, what would they equal? If I would take each of these prime numbers that I circled and I multiply them together, it ended up equaling out what? 50. Yeah. So Drew said, you don't have to write what I'm writing in the red now. Drew said you could also use 2 and 25. So let's factor it out using that. Well, 2, what kind of number is 2? Prime or composite?
Composite. Or prime.
Prime, so I'm going to circle it. Because it only has 2 factors, 1 and 2 itself. 25, prime or composite?
Prime. Or composite.
Yeah, it's going to be composite because 25 has more factors than just 1 and 25 itself. What other 2 numbers can I multiply together to get 25? What 2 numbers can I multiply together to get 25?
Oh, 5 and 5.
Yeah, 5 and 5. What kind of numbers are 5? Can I factor them any further? No, so they're going to be prime, so I'm going to circle them. So then I'm going to drop down, and I'm going to write it in standard form, which means I'm going to write it in order from least to greatest. Well, my smallest number that I have circled is a 2, and then I have a 5 circled, so 2 times 5, and another 5 circled. Well, if I multiply these all back together, will I still get 50? So if I take 2 times 5 times 5, will I still get 50?
Yes.
Yeah. See how I used 2 different factors to start off with, though? Here I used 5 times 10, and here the 2 factors I started with were 2 times 25. But our end prime factors are the same. So the whole point of showing you that is, when we get to 60, there's going to be multiple factors that we could use to break 60 down. I might use 2 times 30. Trayvon might use 6 times 10. Somebody else might use 3 times 20. It's okay. Our end prime factors should all be the same. So go ahead and try to factor 60 for me. Go ahead and factor 60 for me. Yes. We're going to have you listen today. I'm going to try to have you wait and talk to us. Ron, I want to see you trying to factor 60 out for me.
This one.
All right, so let's see here. Eleanor, what 2 factors did you use for 60?
6 and 10.
Okay, so we're going to use 6 and 10. If you chose different factors, that's fine. You just want to make sure your end prime factors are the same. Now 6. What 2 numbers can I multiply together to get 6? So 2 and 3. So I can factor that 4. 2. Can I factor 2? No. If I do, it's going to be 2 and 1. Well, then I could keep doing 2 and 1 forever, right? So 2 is a prime number, so I'm going to circle it. What about 3? Can I factor 3? What two numbers can I multiply together to get 3? 3 and 1. Well, any other numbers? No. So it only has 2 factors, right? Because it only has 2 factors, it's going to be a prime. I'm going to circle it. So then I go to my next factor, 60, which is 10. What two numbers can you multiply together to get 10? A little louder?
5 times 2.
Yeah, 2 and 5. What kind of number is 2 going to be? It's a prime number, right? So I'm going to go ahead and circle it. What kind of number is 5 going to be? Prime, so I'm going to circle it. So now I have all my prime numbers of 60. Because I have all my prime numbers of 60, you would then write them in order in standard form, which we'll get to more in our notes today. So we're going to write all of our prime numbers in standard form. We put them in order from least to greatest. So what's my first prime number I have in order from least to greatest? 2. Then I have another 2, right? Then what do I have? Then what do I have? There you go. Okay. Did anybody else use other factors besides 6 and 10? No? Okay, so you were doing 20 and 3. So doing 20 and 3, your factors of 20 you could break down. So let's look here. You don't have to write what I'm writing in the green right now. So 60, you did 20 and 3. So 3 is prime. 20, you can factor, right? Mm-hmm. So 20, then you factored using 4 and 5. Can you factor 4 further?
No.
What times what all gets you? 2 and 2. Well, once we hit 2 and 2, we know those are prime, so we're finished. So then we go to our other number, 5. 5 is a what type of number? A prime. You can't factor it any further, can you? So now compare. Did you end up with 2 2s? Yeah, so did we over here. Did you end up with 1 3? Yeah, so did we. 1 5? Yeah. So it's okay to use different factors. All right, let's take a look at the last one here, 72. Okay. Trevon, what are my factors of 72? Hey, David, can you set your head up, please? So what are 2 factors that I could use for 72? What times what can you multiply together to get 72? Trevon? And? So then what you could do, take your calculator, take 72 divided by 8. And that will give you the other factor. 8 and 9. Okay, so from here, we have to factor each side. So 8, what can you multiply together to get 8? 2 and 4. Okay, can I factor 2 any further?
No.
So I'm going to circle it. That's a prime number. 4, can I factor that any further, Trevon? Yeah, what? And 2. So we already know that those are prime numbers, so we're going to circle them. So now I need to go up to my 9. What are my factors of 9, Elizabeth? What can I multiply together to get 9?
3.
And 3. Can I factor 3 any further? What times what equals 3? Or what can you multiply together to get 3? Just 1 and 3, right? So it only has 2 factors, meaning 3 is a prime number. So we're going to circle both our 3's. So our prime factors of 72 are going to be 2, 2, 2, 3, and 3. So we're going to, it's already pretty much written in order, so we're going to drop down, we're going to write it in order from least to greatest. So how many 2's do I need to write down? So 2 times 2. How many 3's do I need to have? Yeah, so times 3 times 3. Okay? So you need to make sure on your opener, if you expect to have full credit, you have exactly what I have. So you need to make sure you have your name on it, and then you showed all your work like what I did today. Then go ahead and pass them towards Miss Hersey. Oh, sorry.